And this is the US where atheism gradually has spread, and it's almost known as one of the most secular countries in the world. So for him to go and say, we are going to return to God, or there's going to be a place of God in the country, reflects that, at least at this point, he is bearing certain values. Now, getting to the bad or evil stuff, ridicule is at the top of the list. Irrespective of how popular you are, how many votes you've got, nobody should be allowed to make fun of others. You can criticize your opponents, you can criticize their policies, you can criticize the way they do things, but just purely making fun of other people or ridiculing other people is something that is not acceptable and should not be acceptable, irrespective of what your status is and irrespective of what kind of popularity wave you're on. Because one of the other implications of this is, it's not just the fact that Trump is doing this himself, it's the fact that he's encouraging this in the supporters, who will blindly follow him for everything that he says or does. So he's sort of, and that is probably one of the reasons why there is so much polarization in the country right now, is because they will just make fun of the other side. And so ridicule for a good person, especially for a good leader, should have no place in his personality. The second thing on the evil side, like I said earlier, is will be the Palestine thing. Although on the one hand, he was the only person who was able to make a ceasefire happen, and he seems to be trying to go in that direction again. But at the same time, his opponents say, and technically they're right, he is the president of the US. And so irrespective of what tight spot he's in, if he claims to be such a courageous person, if he claims to be such a smart person, he's already in his second term, so given his age and the fact that he's in a second term, people would say he should put his foot down and stop the genocide and stop these kind of policies. And that's a very, so from that angle, that is a valid criticism, and that is something that he definitely needs to look at. The other thing which is on the bad side is the amount of exaggeration that he does in a number of things when he's talking about his achievements is just, through the roof. It's just outside the normal complete scope. And exaggeration is just a polite way of putting it, but it's, essentially you're talking about false statements. You're just basically talking about lying.